Just wanted to challenge you with something that I was going over today about, did Jesus Christ actually raise from the dead? It's one of the questions that I, as a pastor, get asked all of the time. And it's honestly the most important question anybody can ask in their entire lives, because it proves everything if Jesus did raise from the dead. And if he didn't, then the Christian faith is in vain and everybody's still in their sins, right? And so there's 5 things that really are emphasized through the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Number one, it actually demonstrated his deity. After saying and living out that he and the God the Father are one, that he is God, it would demonstrate his complete authority over death. Number two, it validated all of his teachings, because this is something that he was prophesying in the Old Testament, talking about the resurrection of Christ, and then him on top of that saying, hey, this is what's going to happen, and I actually did it. So it validated his teaching. The third, it actually completed the atonement. There needed to be a sacrifice for the punishments against the Creator, and we couldn't provide that sacrifice because we are still in our sins. However, Christ, who was perfect, fully satisfied the wrath of God on the cross, and so it completed the covering up of sins for us. The fourth, it actually confirmed his power, the power of Christ to not only die, but to defeat death 3 days later. The fifth, and truly the most important, it promised his returning. Because Jesus Christ was raised from the dead, it promised that everything he's been saying is true. And just as we saw Christ raised, he will come in the same way again. And so there's a bunch of different arguments for this. I've heard them all. I believed some of them in my past. But the first is that God wasn't actually dead, that he was just beaten, but never actually died. Number two, that they stole his body, which would be crazy against the Roman centurions. That's what they protected their lives for. The third, there's the swoon theory, where he was died, but then the cold air and kind of resuscitated him a little bit within there. And then the fourth, imaginary or hallucinogenic, where people saw him and they didn't actually see him. They were just making it up. And so there's a bunch of different theories for this, but I would really consider the evidence. And so there's historical evidence of eyewitnesses, but also the testimonial evidence of people and martyrs over history. And so these are the big things that we wrestle with, that Jesus Christ actually raised from the dead. So I would challenge you, whatever end of the spectrum on, if you think Christianity is silly, okay. But then if you're actually a devoted follower of Jesus, both sides need to really consider the evidence and make it either push you towards faith or have your faith even rooted that much more. So hopefully this helps.